More than 8 months after, the patriarch saw me one day and said, "I know your knowledge of Buddhism is very sound, but I have to refrain from speaking to you lest evildoers should do you harm. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir, I do," I replied. "To avoid people taking notice of me, I dare not go near your hall." The patriarch one day assembled all his disciples and said to them, "The question of incessant rebirth is a momentous one. Day after day, instead of trying to free yourselves from this bitter sea of life and death, you seem to go after tainted merits only. Yet merits will be of no help if your essence of mind is obscured. Go and seek prajna in your own mind, and then write me a stanza about it. He who understands what the essence of mind is will be given the robe and the dharma, and I shall make him the 6th patriarch. Now go away quickly. Delay not in writing the stanza, as deliberation is quite unnecessary and of no use. The man who has realized the essence of mind can speak of it at once, as soon as he is spoken to about it, and he cannot lose sight of it even when engaged in battle." Having received this instruction, the disciples withdrew and said to one another, "It is of no use for us to concentrate our mind to write the stanza and submit it to His Holiness, since the patriarchate is bound to be won by Shen Shu, our instructor. And if we write perfunctorily, it will only be a waste of energy." Upon hearing this, all of them made up their minds not to write and said, "Why should we take the trouble? Hereafter we shall simply follow our instructor Shen Shu, wherever he goes, and look to him for guidance." Meanwhile, Shen Shu reasoned thus himself: "Considering that I am their teacher, none of them will take part in the competition. I wonder whether I should write a stanza and submit it to His Holiness. If I do not, how can the patriarch know how deep or superficial my knowledge is? If my object is to get the Dharma, my motive is a pure one. If I were after the patriarchate, then it would be bad. In that case, my mind would be that of a worldling, and my action would amount to robbing the patriarch's holy seat. But if I do not submit the stanza, I shall never have a chance of getting the Dharma." A very difficult point to decide indeed. In front of the patriarch's hall, there were 3 corridors, the walls of which were to be painted by a court artist named Lu Chen, with pictures from the Lankavatara Sutra depicting the transfiguration of the assembly, and with scenes showing the genealogy of the 5 patriarchs for the information and veneration of the public. When Shen Shu had composed his stanza, he made several attempts to submit it to the patriarch, but as soon as he went near the hall, his mind was so perturbed that he sweated all over. He could not screw up the courage to submit it, although in the course of 4 days he made altogether 13 attempts to do so. Then he suggested to himself, "It would be better for me to write it on the wall of the corridor, and let the patriarch see it for himself. If he approves it, I shall come out to pay homage and tell him that it is done by me. But if he disapproves it, then I shall have wasted several years in this mountain in receiving homage from others, which I by no means deserve. In that case, what progress have I made in learning Buddhism?" At 12 o'clock that night, he went secretly with a lamp to write the stanza on the wall of the south corridor, so that the patriarch might know what spiritual insight he had attained. The stanza read, "Our body is a Bodhi tree, and our mind a mirror bright. Carefully we wipe them hour by hour, and let no dust alight." As soon as he had written it, he left at once for his room, so nobody knew what he had done. In his room he again pondered, "When the patriarch sees my stanza tomorrow and is pleased with it, I shall be ready for the Dharma. But if he says that it is badly done, it will mean that I am unfit for the Dharma, owing to the misdeeds in previous lives, which thickly becloud my mind. It is difficult to know what the patriarch will say about it." In this vein he kept on thinking until dawn, as he could neither sleep nor sit at ease. But the patriarch knew already that Shen Shu had not entered the door of enlightenment, and that he had not known the essence of mind.